Before we get started, we wanted to thank Matchstick Golf for being our first title sponsor. Matchstick is a custom designer of ball markers based in Portland, Oregon, that was born out of its founder getting sick and tired of trying to find cool ball markers that weren't huge, heavy poker chips that didn't cost $300 on eBay. Matchstick's markers include the one-eyed alligator from Happy Gilmore, a stack of cash that will have you putting for dough. Right now, Matchstick is offering 15% off your first order at matchstickgolf.com with the code Municipals. So head on over to matchstickgolf.com, enter Municipals at checkout, tell them Big C in Ashton sent you.
I am eating dinner.
Yes. Numerous times, yes.
What's happening, Municipals? Part 2. Bringing back motherfucking Hussey, Jack the producer, and as always, co-host Ashton. Part 2, Las Vegas. Let's get into it. I'm excited. I think these are some of our favorite courses that we played. So I think all of us are a little bit juiced this time to kind of talk about these 3 courses. As we mentioned in the first episode of this 2-parter, sadly, our last round that we were trying to go play at Wolf Creek, we unfortunately didn't get that round in, but we got to replace it with an absolute gem of a die design in Desert Pines. So we'll get into that, but first we head to the reserve. We head to the Indian Reserve Paiute Golf Resort. This place was fucking awesome. And the drive out to Paiute, I think, was really fucking great too. It was beautiful mountain desert landscape all the way out to this golf course. Pretty much nothing once you left the strip. It was wide open, just the road we were on and nothing else. And it was just a beautiful landscape with some mountains capped with snow, raw desert, cacti everywhere. Beautiful, beautiful drive out there. And then coming into the resort, Hussey, let's get your take on that. What were your thoughts coming into the resort with us pulling up there?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it was really cold, and we stopped at a gas station to pick up, some water and things. And, we called the course and asked them if, I think we should have learned from this that you should always call a golf course in the morning when it's winter. And sure enough, there was a frost delay.
You skipped over the ornery cowboy that didn't want to put a mask on. That was fucking holding a gun.
That one I will have to defer to Jack or Ashton to talk about, because I was busy watching the Formula One race from that morning. So I don't quite remember the gentleman, but yeah, I do recall it.
Jack, you got to give us a little insight, because all me and Hussey got to see was from the car view, and this dude had a pistol on his side. Had to have been in his 80s. Yeah. Did refuse to put a mask on. Give us a little more insight on that guy.
Yeah, I mean, I was going in to grab some waters and just grab the amenities that I needed for Paiute, and this guy was just so he was such a curmudgeon. He's what I would consider a desert curmudgeon. And he goes up to the security guard that was, probably a Native American guy. And he was like, the gentleman already saw this guy, so he probably knows him, probably sees him all the time. He goes, "Hey, partner, don't forget to get your mask, put your mask on, this guy, like I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was basically to the effect of like, yeah, I'll fucking put on these damn things, and blah blah blah, like starts going on a rant. And credit to the security guard that was there. He was just like, yeah, I hear you, but you got to put it on to get in here. So yeah, that was a great start to our drive into Paiute.
Didn't the security guard also go, well, I hope you're having a really lovely day, though?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was just so
totally
nice.
There was so much sauce.
Like,
there was so much
like
sauce.
kill him with kindness kind of sauce, and it was that dude was super nice, and it was so funny just to like see the two different types of personalities.
Well, and the 80-year-old guy, all he wanted to do is, I think he had $100 in cash. So like for like his gas, and the guy's like, hands me, the guy's like, you want 100? And the guy goes, yeah, however much fills up. I would be like, bro, I've got a big truck, but like, I don't know that you're going to have enough gas. You just handed the guy $100 in cash. So I don't know. Who's to say?
Fun scene coming in.
Yeah, but we drove in, we parked the car, we walked in, and this place, I mean, the pro shop was like a department store. I mean, they had every brand, every designer. I mean, it really was a golf resort. And they got 3 courses there, all designed by Pete Dye, Sun Mountain, Snow Mountain, and the Wolf. And everyone we met with in the pro shop was super nice, super friendly. The guys talked to us a lot, asked us what we were playing, what we're doing, told us about the courses. We booked a 36. It was called the Golfapalooza deal, where you get a free lunch with a free beverage. And it was $179 for 2 rounds with that free lunch and beverage. And the guys were super helpful, told us that we would have no problem making our second tee time. And yeah, this is definitely where Jack should have bought his belts, because they had more belts than, what to do with. But, we checked in, and we didn't have any time to go to the range, unfortunately. And we just got in and went after the frost delay.
Yeah, I second that when it comes to the hospitality. From the minute that we got there, and the guys that were in the cart barn, asking if they wanted to load our clubs up, and to the minute we walked into the pro shop, and how friendly those guys were to kind of give us any pointers that we needed for the golf courses, and all the way down to the guys that were starters on every course that we played, to the sweet lady that helped us out at the bar. Every single person on that property loved their job and appreciated everybody that was out there spending their money. And if I could say anything, I mean, for the money that we spent, I would go back there tenfold. It was probably one of the best experiences I've ever had on property at any golf course, period. Like, that was a better experience than I've had at Pebble Beach resorts. I mean, it was fantastic, top notch by far. But
yeah, and they were super friendly too, and talkative. And I remember we were doing our second round, and Ashton and I were talking to the starter for Snow Mountain, and Ashton has a tendency to lick his golf ball every now and then, and this guy started talking about Peter Jacobsen, and how Peter Jacobsen had all of these problems with his mouth because he would put the golf ball in his mouth to clean it all the time, and he would be walking down the fairway cleaning his golf ball in his mouth. I mean, it was
like, we're gonna get censored for this, but like, he was sucking on the ball. He was sucking on, like, it wasn't like I licked the little piece of dirt. He was sucking on his golf ball. Hashtag OnlyFans.
So the guys were incredibly nice and just jolly.
Yeah, awesome guys. And so we decided to start out our day on the Wolf, which is said to be the hardest of the 3 golf courses out on property. Longest golf course out on property. We did not play from the tips. I will tell you that right now. We chose to play, I think, did we play 1 or 2 up? Do you guys remember? 2 up. We played 2 up because I think even 2 up was like 66
gold.
So it was still pretty deep there. But I mean, the wolf, there's just not any. I know I say this fairly good amount, but like they're really, the conditions were so freaking good. There isn't anything I could say bad about conditions, particularly. You guys
put $20 in the jar.
No, the only thing, condition wise was greens that were ice for the first 5 holes. That's it. I mean, like, and that's not on the golf course itself. I mean, this was, as Ashton said in the podcast last week, you hit a wedge onto the front of the green and it rolled through the back. I mean, like, that's not okay. That's silly golf, right? You know, that's kind of crazy. But yeah, that was the only knock, and that's not on them. I mean, that's us playing first off on a winter's day.
Yeah, exactly. We caught it on a day where the greens were frozen solid for the first hour that we were out there. So that is what it is. But the actual conditions were immaculate. Absolutely immaculate. The fairways ran pure, bunkers were combed and kept meticulously. Greens rolled very, very true, especially once they thawed out a bit and we were able to finally start figuring them out, because when the greens were frozen, they're running at like a 12-13 stint. They were just like lightning fast. Then when they trued up a little bit, they calmed down to more around a 10, and they were much more manageable throughout the rest of our round. But I mean, conditions, golf clap to their superintendent, because that man is putting in the fucking work. It was
okay.
It was crazy.
Pull out the Uzi. I got to do it. It's what Rams Hill wants to be, right? It's resort golf. It's supposed to be immaculate. It's what I expected Rams Hill to be. And the layout was far better, I think, than Rams Hill. So there you go, Rams Hill. Pew, pew, pew.
It's like the conditions were like, in the Bay Area, everyone knows a Yocha Dehi. It's like that, but I think even better. I mean, it was phenomenal. I mean, maybe Yocha they have really nice golf carts because of the casino, but I think conditions wise, it might be the best conditioned golf course I've ever played personally.
Not walkable. I think that was one thing, and I don't think any of the 3 tracks out there would be courses that you would choose to walk. One thing Jack talks about that he hates all the time is the spread out green to tee box kind of situation. Unfortunately, that's just how all these courses are laid out in Vegas, and when you're coming out to a resort, that's just kind of what you come across.
Yeah. One, asterisk to that, that thing that I don't like. This was, I think maybe Ashton said this during the trip, like this was like playing on Mars, and the rides from green to tee box was actually enjoyable if you were paying attention to the surrounding areas. Like, it was really cool to be like, holy shit, I'm this is Mars golf. Like, this isn't something you get to experience. So I didn't mind it at all. Like, I was able to, hand to my heart, honestly, like, I could not remember much of Wolf because I was looking so much around the place. I was just like fucking amazed that somebody like took sod, sand, and all this shit and like put this place together. And, like, just around the mountains, the desert and the mountains and the sky, like I wasn't high as shit, mind you. Like, I was having a little bit of a spiritual experience at Wolf. Just the surrounding area was super nice, and it was super fun to kind of look at everything. And yeah, I agree with what you guys are saying. Like, conditions wise, besides, I think it was either one or two. I tried to hit like basically, just drop in a sand wedge into the green, and what Ashton was saying, like hit it to the front of the green, saw the ball bounce like 20 feet in the air, and then like go to the back of the green, back right side. I was just like, all right, like this is what to expect for the first couple holes. So yeah, working overtime for that greenskeeper for sure.
Yeah, I think stepping away from the Vegas Strip and being so separated from it and kind of out in its own world, an entity where it is on that Indian Reserve, I think it gives it an entire, it's its own entity out there, because the courses you play within the city and within the city limits kind of feel confining. They're all either within the casinos or they're, right off property of the hotels. And you feel confined within the city when you play a lot of those courses like Desert Pines that we'll talk about later. And like Bali Hay and, even Royal Links kind of felt a little confined because the property around Royal Links was real bad. Like it was trailer parks pretty much surrounding that entire course, which was just a weird vibe on the outside. And it wasn't a pretty atmosphere, where being out in the middle of the desert with the cacti, with the rocks and landscape, and then the mountains that were all snow-capped, it was a very picturesque, relaxing environment. And I think all four of us really got a kind of breath of fresh air jam. Okay.
I swear I'm not high.
We got a great night's sleep that night. Right after the Mexican food, I think we all stuffed ourselves, went to bed early, and were super energized when we went out to the property. So that was one thing I loved. And then rates. We talked a little bit about it, but I mean, for it, again, what we preach over and over again, do your research if you're going on a golf trip. Don't just book tee times on their main website or, not kind of search through the site, because if you just booked a tee time with Paiute and didn't look into the rates and more information on their website, you would have never come across the Golfapalooza, and you would have paid. Don't quote me.
No, Chris, I got it right here. So if you're playing, if you're playing peak season, which to be clear, we're not. Peak is March to May, September to November. To play any of the three courses before 11 a.m., it's $179. 11 to 2, $159. After 2 is $99. And then that's during the week. So on the weekend, it goes to $209, $179, $119. So theoretically, again, this is peak season if you did not play. One round of these courses, peak season before 11, is $30 more than we spent to play 36 holes with lunch and a beer included. It's pretty crazy.
So again,
it means don't go to Paiute during the main season,
or
right?
Do your research. We don't know. We didn't go there in the peak season. They might have another deal or a website that has.
So it says the Golfapalooza for peak season during the week is $235, weekend $265.
Yeah, so
that's not that bad.
Which is worth it.
Good shape there. It's so worth it.
Yeah, worth it.
And if you're in peak season, that means you're for sure going to get 36 in, which we struggled with. We barely got 18 in on our second round. So keep an eye out on the deals, because if you're planning these golf trips, you can cut corners and save a lot of money by either booking through third parties or finding the deals on local websites. So definitely keep an eye out on that. But getting back into the course, let's talk favorite holes, because I think there was a lot of holes on Wolf that I particularly liked. I don't know if there's one particular favorite. I have many, but let's start out with Ashton. Your favorite hole out at Wolf Creek?
The Wolf, not Wolf Creek, but yes. Number 2. So I did not play this hole well. I hit it into the shit, and also the green was still hard. But I love drivable par fours. And this one did a really nice thing. So it's downhill. There's a bunker and a mound kind of in the middle. So I mean, you can hit, 6-iron lob wedge. It's to be like making sure I get the distances right for y'all. So from the tees we played, it's 333, but it's straight downhill. And I got to think we all had to be at some sort of elevation, right? So you could have hit a 6-iron and a wedge. I hit driver. And it's also deceptive because the way the hole looks, I thought I needed to go farther left than actually I needed to. Like Jack hit his over on the right, and I was like, oh, that's for sure gone. As it turns out, there was more room right than you expect. But I just love a deceptive drivable par 4. I do think this was my favorite course, but in the same breath, I think one of the things that's challenging is a lot of the holes felt similar. That doesn't bother me when the holes tend to be good holes. A lot of them felt similar, but I felt like a lot of holes, this might just be me anecdotal, a lot of the holes felt like they were going uphill. This was one of the few that felt like it went downhill. So I really liked that. And also raise my hand. I know y'all are going to talk about kind of the very picturesque par 3. That was probably the coolest hole at Wolf, but I really like number 2 and would certainly like another bite at it because, blowing it left is not nearly as fun as driving it on the green. So number 2 for me.
All right. I like number 2. Number 2 is a great hole there. Hussey, what do you think your favorite hole was out there? Again, like Ashton was saying, I think we all can say 15, the picturesque island hole par 3 was amazing. But what other hole on that course were you fond of?
Yeah, I mean, of course, 15, like you're saying, but I think it's hole number 8, which is downhill par 3, crazy deep waist area right of the green, 40 feet deep. 40 feet below the green is this giant waist area. So if your miss is a pushy block, which mine has been, that is definitely in my purview of a miss. And so the last thing I wanted was to be down 40 feet below the green to hit out of sand. And mind you, it's not like this waist area wasn't sand. This is like desert sand. So there's still rocks and stuff in there. But I really like that hole. Picturesque, beautiful, and very tough.
I should add, I forgot about the island hole. Number 8's the hole I was talking. Like that was the one that we got to, and I was like, this. Well, because it's just that's the first time I think we felt like we were playing on the move.
Yeah,
like you've got these crazy ass mountains, and then you pull up to the green. And my favorite part was the bunkering was so severe. It said to enter the bunkers from behind the green, so they did not want you walking down the bunkers. They're worried you were going to fall. So yeah, the island hole. Love an island hole, but I thought number 8 was the one that we were all going to say. So,
Hussey, sorry, which hole did you say? You broke up a little bit.
Number 8.
Number 8.
No, for the par 3, that's the one you were talking about.
Number 8.
Okay.
Yeah. Number 8, and then number 15 is the par 3 that is their most well-known hole, which is their island hole. For me personally, number 17 was my favorite hole. So number 17, par 4. What I love about it is the snake bunkers that run through the entire middle of the fairway twice. So it basically creates 3 sectors in the fairway that you have to choose how you want to play the hole. So it's not a hole that you're going to pull a driver on and just bomb it, because there's the 2 snake bunkers that run vertically along the fairways there. Then you've got one on the right-hand side, which is next to the cart path that runs on the right-hand side there. And you've got about 5 or 6 more bunkers that all run along in between those snake bunkers that are just skinny trenches that basically run through the middle of the fairway that are filled with sand. And then approaching the green, you've got these 5 or 6 pot bunkers on the left-hand side, and then a basically a turtle shell green that funnels off back, front, and all sides. Was a very, very challenging hole. And for me, finishing holes 16, 17, 18 are some of my favorite holes on golf courses. And if you're making a challenging finishing holes, it draws me in over and over again to those golf courses and those designs. So 17 had to have been absolutely my favorite hole by far. Jack, favorite hole, what you got?
I like number 11. It was I believe a par 4 downhill, connected to 10. It was probably like besides some of the finishing holes, like some of the 2 closest holes together in the, front going to the back, or I guess in the back 9. I liked it because I hit my drive onto 10 instead of 11 fairway. It was there's like bunkers on the left-hand side. There's a small pot bunker, probably like 90 yards in front of the green. And then there's a waste area on the right-hand side. I don't know, something about that downhill design was really nice. I was trying to hit a big ass draw on it, but ended up pushing it to the next fairway. I don't know this yet about me, but I mean, I like right to left holes, but call for a stock draw for me. Particularly with that hole, I like the green. It was, I think it was like a 2 or maybe 3 tier green on that one. But I like the pin placement that day. And I also hit from the other fairway. All I had was my 8-iron, hit like a mega flop shot into the green to like 15 feet. Had to look for par.
I remember that.
Bogeying.
I remember.
But yeah, I like that one. It's kind of, I don't know. It's just a weird, quirky kind of downhill right to left hole for me. I like the way that they protected the green with those kind of like different placements of the bunkers, and that's what I liked like about Wolf is it was kind of, like, to me at least, the bunker placements were really well thought out. Like there was maybe, I'm looking at the overhead right now, but I think there was like one centerline bunker on one of the par 5s. And like, it's just like, oh, like I'm never going to hit it into the centerline bunker, but like there's a little bit of a funnel to it. So across the whole course, there's different placements of bunkers that are very, kind of like sneaky to get into almost. So I really like that about how besides, like I was saying earlier, my favorite part of it being really like the way that you're traversing throughout this whole area, but design wise, the way that the bunkers were protecting the greens and fairways even was one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, very, very Pete Dye, or not even just Pete, just his Dye design is the strategic bunkering throughout their architectural design. And I think that's going to kind of be a running trait through a lot of the Dye designs that we talk about on this trip is the bunkering, and being so strategic forces you to play shots into certain parts of the hole. And it really plays with your eye as well and deceives you, because how he places bunkers forces you to think that they're playing longer or shorter. And it will deceive you on carrying them or actually landing in them, because you'll think that you have 200, but the way that the bunker kind of faces it'll be longer or it'll play shorter. So it's very interesting in Dye designs in that aspect. So I'm with you there, Jack. The bunkering and everything throughout the entire course, especially on holes like that, were fantastic. it was a wonderful way to start our day out at Paiute. The Wolf was a fun track. And then after we finished our round there, we got to go into the clubhouse. The great thing with the deal for Golf Palooza, it wasn't just like a pre-packed sandwich or a hot dog for lunch. We actually got to pick anything we wanted off of their menu. Prime rib sandwich, hamburger. I think there was like a Caesar wrap, like an insane amount of different options, and all covered. And then any beer you wanted was also included in there, which, I mean, that's a $20 lunch, $25 lunch right there, included in the deal. So basically we got to play each round for $75 plus lunch. I mean, that's a killer deal. When Carica Park in Alameda is charging $100 a round, and we got to play a much more substantial golf course for $75 and got lunch included. I mean, it was a win-win. So we scarfed down our food, had a great lunch. Again, the people working the restaurant were fucking fantastic. We had this great lady that was helping us out during lunch. She was super fantastic. We checked in with the pro shop. They said, hey, there's some guys teeing off. You got about 30 minutes or so. Grab yourself some lunch, and then we'll get you out there. They held right up to what they told us. We finished our lunch. They got us right out on the course, and we got to go play our second round, which is Snow Mountain. If anybody follows Golf Digest, and I know, don't roast us. The lists that they put out are semi-biased. I'm with everybody, but Snow Mountain was actually the higher rated on the list of Golf Digest to Wolf, which I think I personally liked Snow Mountain more than I liked Wolf. That was my personal view on between the two of them. I definitely agreed a little bit with Golf Digest on that, but I think the consensus. Jack, what were your thoughts on that?
Sorry, before we get into that, I just want to add one thing. I was dropped off at the range to work on some shots. Really nice range, free range balls. Can't say enough about that. I love free range balls because you guys know me. That's what I was going to add there. But I would have to say I agree with Big Chris on this one. I feel like I liked Snow Mountain a little bit better. In terms of the layout and how the courses were, how the holes were designed, I thought Snow Mountain had a little bit more of a variety in the shot making that you had to take both on and off the tee, which is to me like something that I like. A course that forces you to pick you can't just play your stock cut or one stock tee shot. Like, it's asking you to draw the ball, to hit it so that you're not going over water, or to hit a cut so you're not going over the desert or something like that. Like, I really like that about Snow Mountain. Yeah.
And so we don't have to really get into amenities here. We already talked about it, same property. So favorite holes that you guys thought you had Snow Mountain. So it definitely was a different type of course than Wolf was. I think it was more of your true champion style course. I think Snow Mountain was a little bit more out in front of you. Not as deceiving as Wolf was, where I could see, tournament play being played out at Snow, where Wolf was more of those like resort style courses that was there to kind of create more of a fun environment and really challenge you in different ways, where Snow was really, that low handicap scores course. So what do you guys think? Favorite holes? I guess I'll start this time. Snow here for me, hole 7 was my favorite. Again, I'm kind of with Ashton. Drivable par 4s are some of my favorite. They're just really fun, especially for any abilities, because any par 4 that's under 400 yards makes it really enjoyable for any ability of player, because anybody can play that hole. You can hit a driver, you can hit a 3-wood, you could just hit a 6-iron to 6-iron on a hole like that. I mean, it really allows you to have variety in the way that you want to attack the hole. And so hole there, hole 7 was, you've got bunkers on the right hand side, and a lot of them. There's like eight bunkers on the right hand side that are about 250 yards out. You've got this giant dipping swell just past those bunkers on the left hand side, middle of the fairway, and there's a giant like left-hand dog leg style like bunker right next to the green on the left-hand side. And then the green is surrounded by these kind of mounds along the entire backhand side of it and on the right-hand side. So if you do have the distance, where we were playing from that day, it was playing at 309. So for someone like Ashton or Jack or even Hussey, anybody besides me, that was a drivable hole. And so I think Ashton got really fucking close on that hole. I know Jack was really fucking good. I think he might have been in the bunker just on the left side of the green on that hole, right off the tee. And then I think Hussey was in bad shape on that. Yeah,
I laid up.
Yeah, Hussey didn't.
And it went left.
Yeah, and it didn't go well because you were just short of the bunkers. Were you left? I thought you were just short of the bunkers, right?
No, I pulled it left.
Okay.
Yeah, I laid up.
Yeah, and then my poofy ass fucking driver that was not working the entire trip. It was fucking dog shit. I don't think I hit a drive over 250 yards. It was an absolute horrible show by me with the driver. That's why you don't take a demo driver from work that you've never hit before and go on a golf trip with your buddies.
So let me tell you about the importance of getting fitted. Okay.
This might have been I could have recorded this and explained to people exactly the reason why you go and get fitted, because I was waiting for my new driver to come in from work. I was in between equipment, and the only piece of equipment I didn't have at that time was my driver. I went out. My coworker was like, you know what? Just take one of the demo heads for the weekend. Take one of the shafts that we haven't cut down and put in or created as one of our demo shafts. So I found one of the only shafts that we had that was in a stiff, and it was a high flight, higher spinning shaft, which is completely opposite.
It's like your
my nightmare.
Yeah, it's like your nightmare.
And so everything I was hitting was like 130 feet in the air and like crazy spin. And I couldn't hit a drive over like 230, 240 yards. It was
Big C's hitting in 5-wood and Hussey's hitting in like 9.
Yeah.
It's like
it was rough. Luckily my woods were saving me a little bit. My short game definitely kept me in play for most of the rounds, because if I didn't have my short game in play throughout this trip, I would have been absolutely fucking screwed. But getting back to that hole, I think number 7 was an absolute gem of a hole. I really loved it. Just everything about it. Great hole. Ashton, favorite hole, what you got?
Yeah, so I didn't process this when we were out there. And this is definitely, I think, something you would notice if you play it again. But looking at their website, and again, to give them more kudos, if y'all want to see these courses, go on their website. They have great drawn drawings. They have descriptions. They also have really helpful aerial views. It's really great. I think what the interesting about Snow Mountain in particular is you really, not that you need to play the ball both ways, but if you just look at it, there's a lot of holes that go right and left. Then there's holes they specifically call out as long, and there's several drivable. So, I think that I've realized I like playing near water, like a sandpiper, but I don't like courses with water. It's just not really my preferred way of playing. Which again, that's probably why I like Sandpiper so much, because I don't even know there's water on 18 at Sandpiper, but it's right by the Pacific Ocean, but there's not a lot of water. There's just a lot of water on Snow Mountain, but that's just not something I like. But I do like that the course is asking you to go dogleg lefts, dogleg right, long holes, short holes, all different kinds of stuff. I'm usually not one to pick kind of like the flagship hole, but I really think that 16 was amazing. And, this is, so it's a pretty challenging par 3 from the back tees, playing 198 from where we were playing 182. Late in the day, though, it was cold. I mean, I think I hit a 5-iron in the water. I didn't quite catch it pure. Was playing really long, but it's kind of not a dog leg left, but the kind of green moves to the left. And it says on here, I did not know that's what it's called, but it says that Sheep Mountain is in the background. And Sheep Mountain was like the mountain that made us feel like we were playing on Mars. So as the sun was setting, those really kind of pink and purple sky, the mountain behind, water, and then, certainly not the last time, because 18 is a fucking hard finishing hole. Once again, it's like, hey, we need you to hit a grown man golf shot here. Right? You could have bailed right. I should have done that. It actually says on the description that it's a pretty easy up and down from the right side. But really loved that par 3 with Sheep Mountain in the background. And I think it just, wrapping up our great day here with kind of the pink and purple skies, I can still see that in my mind's eye and something that really stands with me. So again, not that I didn't like Snow Mountain. I just preferred the Wolf because there's really not any water, but 16 really stands out to me. But again, both courses really ask you to hit a lot of grown-up golf shots. Like, there's definitely some short holes. There's definitely some gettable stuff. But, again, looking at 18, there's water all over the place on 18, 445 from the back, 425 where we were playing and it was cold. Just a tough golf course.
And again, kudos to Die Design for finishing holes. 16, 17, 18, again, at Snow Mountain were absolutely fantastic. And I think that was kind of a running trend through all the Die designs that we played on this trip, were the finishing holes on every course that we played, Die design wise, were fantastic. Just really, really good holes. So, Hussey, favorite hole, what do you got for us?
Yeah, similar to what Ashton was saying, I think there's a lot more water on Snow Mountain than the Wolf, and then it being desert golf, the desert is basically water. It's just tough, it's tight, and it's overall just very difficult playing in the desert. Another facet of Pete Dye / Die Design courses, I think, is there's a lot of risk and reward, hence a lot of drivable par 4s. And I think hole 13 was my favorite hole. It's drivable par 4, running theme, here we go, everyone likes drivable par 4s, even though they slow down pace of play. But there's a little tongue. You can kind of stay up on the right hand side of, and that's where the fairway is, and that's kind of your bailout. And to play it safe, you just hit an iron out into the fairway on the right, or you go directly at the green. But you're traveling and crossing over all of this barren, desert, and there's a little tongue that kind of comes out that is kind of it's kind of goading you into going for the green, that if you come up a bit short, there's still some grass there. But, it was downwind, and I think all of us, for the most part, hit driver trying to get to the green. And, I think it was just a classic risk reward hole, especially when, we've got money on the line trying to beat each other. That's where you pull out the driver and you go for it. And, I think it was a great hole, but challenging indeed.
That's a great choice, especially with that bunker that's kind of in front of that tongue. It really entices you to either go left of that bunker and right at the green, or try to play it safe and bail out a little bit on the right. So that was a really, really fun hole. What about you, Jack? What was your favorite hole out there?
Yeah, my favorite hole was number 10, which was going back to the clubhouse from number 9. I kind of liked how they really laid out that front 9 to back 9. It like, front 9. This is more of a comment on the layout. Like front 9 takes you to the right side of Snow Mountain, takes you all around, kind of back. You have a little bit of a view of Wolf, and then wraps you back around to 9, and then back to the clubhouse at 10. What I was talking about earlier, and what Ashton was saying too, is like you have to hit grown man golf shots on this course. Like this is one of the ones where I think Hussey, Ashton, and I's tee shots kind of showed that, like, both of them hit cuts essentially over the bunker, over the water and the bunker on the kind of the middle of the hole there. Got to probably about 80, 90 yards away from the green. I hit a draw, which went actually over the right side of the bunker, started on the water, right side of the bunker, and then towards the further part of the fairway. And us three, like we had really different looks. I think like Hussey, you were closer to the water. Ashton, you're maybe closer to the middle of the fairway, and then I was all the way on the right side. It showed to me like, oh, you can play this course in, like we were saying, risk reward, like different ways. So I really liked the layout of that one. It was just, I think that was a kind of a great course where it's like, or a great hole where it's like, hey, like you play a cut, like you can play a cut here, but you can also play a draw over this side and have a better angle at the pin. So I really like that about it. And also you can see 18, which was pretty cool. Kind of gives you a little peekaboo into what to expect at the end of the hole there. Oh, hey there. Yeah, meow. Sorry. Hussey's holding up his cat.
Oh, man. Yeah, I think snow was great. We were running out of daylight. And I think a big thing for us we really had to jam in 16, 17, 18.
17 was such a cool
hole. It really was.
I wanted to, there were so many railroad ties, long par 5, really crazy stuff on the green. We were basically running. Mm-hmm. So I can't say it's my favorite.
Yeah, it was really sad because you're 100% right. 16 was really, a picturesque par 3, and then 17, like you were saying, with those railroad ties and everything, it was just a really cool die design, and with the bunkers on the left and right, every single bunker pretty much coming up to the green and on the green all had the die design railroad ties running along the borders of the bunkers. It was just absolutely beautiful, and I'm super bummed that we had to jam through those as fast as we did, because we didn't really get to appreciate it like we wanted to. And so I think that was another reason why I liked snow over Wolf, was because it had that true die design when it comes to those railroad ties and how he does bunkerings and stuff like that.
Also, one thing to note for playing in winter golf with electric carts, I think Big Chris and I experienced this on 17, 18. The cart started dying on us, and basically halfway through the 18th hole, and we're all trying to scramble to finish it, had to push it up the hill. So watch out if you're trying to finish or play around at the end of a 36 hole day, or play towards the end of the day with electric golf carts.
Yeah, that was kind of a bummer. And then another big bummer at the end of it, and it's true who's to say situation, but we were kind of ushered off of our carts in a fast pace and rushed upstairs to have a beer before they closed the clubhouse. And Senor Chris, who is also the scorekeeper of the group, and left both scorecards for Snow and Wolf Creek on me and Jack's golf cart. By the time we realized, when we wanted to calculate where a match was at, we realized that I didn't have the scorecards. Jack ran down there to see if they threw them away or if he could find them in the trash. And these guys are so on top of shit that they basically were dumping the trashes faster than you could even get back down there to be able to find them. So true who's to say situation. We definitely...
Well, I was going to say, is it who's to say who won the match?
Who's to say, Ashton?
It seems pretty convenient that the guy who's down by $200 is like, I just lost the scorecard, man.
It's a true who's to say situation. We'll never know who won that match. It's a tough scene, but things like that happen.
Scummy big
we're just gonna chalk it up as a tie. So
I just want to say, digging through trash for scorecards, not fun. So
that's a new low for you, Jack.
Hey,
it was quite low.
That's a new low in the golf degenerate.
My teammate
category.
at least tried to rectify the situation, Ashton. We couldn't get the situation rectified, and unfortunately it just came to a tie. So
felt like a true trash panda there. So definitely a great 36 day.
Great.
Yeah. Well, before we go and talk about our final round, we would be remiss to say we had one of the best meals I've ever had at a wonderful place called It's Sushi in Chinatown in Vegas. Shout out to Alvin Yee for that. Basically, it's like $25 a person, all you can eat sushi. And what do you think, guys? We probably ate
$300 worth of food.
Easily, and I don't even eat fish. Literally, I do not eat fish. These guys had me eating. Hussey, correct me on what the actual type of sushi was that I liked, because it was the one with the rice and the fish.
You are
an
expensive date, Mr. Big C. You really liked the salmon belly nigiri sushi. It was phenomenal. You were like, I will only eat that. Thank you.
It was that and the yellowtail. I dug the yellowtail as well. But I definitely am not.
It's the first time he's ever been an expensive date, because usually it's like a hot dog and a Coke.
Yeah.
So sorry in advance to Big Chris's wife for ruining your financials there.
Oh no,
she was not ruining. She probably wants to eat sushi.
Yeah, she was so stoked to hear that I actually would eat it, because we do not go to sushi because I don't like fish. But I just found out that I don't like rolls. I don't like all the added bullshit that they add on top of them. I just need
get away with it. I
need good slices of fish right on top of rice, and I definitely have found out that I prefer raw fish over cooked fish.
Yeah,
yeah.
Rolls are not for you. It's all about nigiri.
No. Yeah, it was a eye-opening experience. We had a great waiter. I can't give this kid more props than anybody else I've ever had wait on me. I mean, this guy was knocking them out. The only thing I'll bag on this kid was when we opened up the menu to him and allowed him to bring us some of his favorites. Not necessarily. I don't think anything he particularly brought to us was super fantastic. I think we should have just left it up to Hussey and Ashton to order all of it.
we like all the salmon belly you have, but they actually limited us on salmon belly.
Yeah,
right?
he
There's
cut
only
us
so much we
off
could
after
have.
that.
Yeah, I think we had like 2 orders of salmon belly, and he was like, "Yep, no more." Shout out to the pub that we went to prior to that snake bite that I tasted that Ashton ordered was pretty damn good. So I'm gonna have to try that at another point. But shout out to,
and just so y'all know, Jack got to the bar and said he wanted something milky, which are not words you ever want to hear, especially not at an Irish pub, which like was just a cool vibe, like because it's Irish, but not cool vibe because when people chain smoking cigarettes.
But also, it was an Irish pub in the so-called probably like Korean or Chinatown of Vegas, and it really did not make sense why it was located there. Every single other restaurant and building around us did not have any English on it other than this pub. It was very weird, and it was so funny because we had a 45-minute wait for dinner, and we asked the lady, "Is there anywhere that we can go get a drink?" And she just points straight over to that Irish pub, and we're like, "Okay." Very interesting.
And a 45-minute wait for an all-you-can-eat sushi place, I think, is a good sign, you know? And
yes,
that was kind of the hesitancy, was all-you-can-eat sushi usually means
But again, shout out to
puke.
Alvin.
Shout out Alvin Yee.
But yeah, no, this was definitely the best meal of the trip by far.
Yeah. Shout out to the bartender for that White Russian. It was delicious.
She literally said, I need to go in the back and see if we have milk. Because
cream. It was cream.
It was not cream.
It was not a White Russian. Sorry. It's a good drink.
Okay,
she pulled out a gallon of milk. Whole milk.
Okay, Trash Panda.
Okay, yeah. Let's talk about the last course. Let's go to bed.
Oh man. So last course we played, again, made the effort to go to Wolf Creek, got boned out there, weren't able to play, scrambled.
I also almost died. We're pulling out of the hotel. I like y'all went into Starbucks and I had to like
we did think Ashton was gonna die and not be able to get on a plane. We had no idea what was going on with him. He was his
all my
insides.
Whoop metrics #free ad. No, I mean like it was like all my metric. It was like very high respiratory rate, very high resting heart rate, very low HRV, and then I like almost passed out in the car, and I was like, okay, let's go play fucking Wolf Creek. It's like one of the most demanding golf courses in the world.
Yeah, not a good. But then after that fell apart, we scrambled. We came across a great rate and tee time for another dye design in Desert Pines. And for me personally, this was probably, I'm not going to say my favorite course, but one of my favorites when it comes to interesting design because of the tightness of the property and where it was located, to be able to fit in the amount of different types of golf holes within to a property that this place was crammed into. I mean, when I'm telling you this place is small and crammed, it literally felt like this course was shoehorned into this area. Like, it was really tight. Every hole was right on top of each other. The only things that separated you hole to hole were that they had pine trees running along the fairways of each hole. And that was the only reason that if they had no trees on this course, you could see every single hole and it would be wide open craziness. But another great Pete design or dye design too, where they had 4 of the holes. Every green was on this lake, so you could see 4 other greens all right next to each other, right on this little lake, and that was kind of a really cool design. But go right ahead, Hussey.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, I mean, that's kind of a perfect example of how tight the property was, where I personally have never seen that anywhere, where you're sitting on the tee box and you turn around, you look, and there's this little pond lake, and there's 3-4 different greens just sitting right there in front of you. I mean, it was a beautiful sight, but unlike anything I had ever seen. And but yeah, testament to Die Design for squeezing a really interesting golf course, very short, 6,200 yards, and this is where I think Pete Dye and that philosophy really excels, where it's risk reward, challenging. It's not always about length in this case. It's about making really challenging holes where you have to think about what you're going to do before you, I guess, actually do it.
No, absolutely true. And I think the first hole was a spectacular opening hole. Really fun and interesting getting into that. And then I think from there on out, like the first hole was this great, inviting short par 4 that I think was only, 296 yards, or I think we played it from 323, but you've got the great die bunkers with the railroad ties. You've got really inviting green on that hole. Just really fun and inviting coming out to it. And I don't think we really got to dive too heavy into amenities because we were kind of in a time crunch. We were kind of showing up, checking in, getting out and playing. So we were really trying to cram in the round before we all had to get to the airport to fly out that day. So amenities, can't really speak on the pro shop too much and what the amenities they hold, but from what we could see when we were checking in, your basic pro shop, if you need, you need your FootJoys, you need a polo, you need some golf balls and tees, they got them. I mean, your basic amenities, they definitely had it. The restaurant was a little interesting. We stopped in to grab, a quick bite on the turn. And this is one thing I will give massive props to. And we've had this happen to us on a couple courses. Shout out Rustic Canyon as well. But when you stop in the turn and it's going to take 15, 20 minutes for them to make your food and get it out to you, instead of holding up the people behind you, have somebody be able to drive it out to you guys on the golf course. Have you just get back, pay for your food, get back in your carts, go out and play, and they'll come find you. That might be one of the best things ever that golf courses can start doing, because it, first off, keeps pace of play on point. Second, allows people to kind of relax, and you're not just like scrambling to grab your food as fast as possible, rush out onto the hole, and like shove down a fucking hot link or a hot dog while you're trying to like hit shots and play, and you're just scrambling. Instead, you can kind of relax, get back on the course, play your round, and then they will come down and hunt you down, which I wish they took our name down, because the lady didn't even know who we were. She kind of just randomly ran into us, which that was the one bummer there.
Yeah, I was going to say, and it also creates jobs too. So that's a plus.
Well, and that's the thing. If you're complaining about the cart girls not having enough to do, or it's slower out there, give them a walkie-talkie and tell them to come back to the clubhouse to pick up the food and bring it back out onto the course. They can do multiple things other than driving in circles and like selling beverages to people. Like, you can be food service. Just carry a walkie-talkie around.
Well, it was funny when she showed up. She was like, "Y'all hungry?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, we ordered, like, don't you have our lunch?" She goes, "Oh, it's y'all." And I was like, "Uh-huh." It's like, "Are y'all hungry?" It's like, "Yeah, and you have our food
already."
That's a really weird way of just, yeah. She's like, "I didn't have the name, so I thought I would just ask," but you didn't ask. You asked if I'm hungry.
It was an interesting scene, but we got our food by the 12th or 13th hole, and it was all good. And we
And we ate it like in 3 bites. I think we were
extremely hungry. We were just off of some caffeinated Starbucks and some, small little Starbucks sandwiches from the morning. So
yeah,
I think we were all ready.
2-hour scenic drive to Mesquite, Nevada and back.
Yeah, so we were ready for it. But amenities, I think the price of the course was really good as well. Again, we booked it last minute, Golf Now deal.
96, 90, 80.
No,
80?
No, I think it was like 80,
it was
82.
Yeah, it was like $80-something.
I thought it was kind of pricey.
Well, it was last minute, and we were gonna drop over 100 at Wolf Creek. So
yeah, I'm almost positive it was sub 80.
89.
Oh,
What can event?
Oh, $89. So yeah, $90 for 6,200 yards. I guess that is slightly steep. Conditions were really good. I will say Vegas, golf clap for the conditions of courses that we played out there, because even though we did bag on Legacy a little bit for being, kind of just a little bit not run down, but just not up to standards of some of the other courses in the area, it still was in really good shape. So, one thing I will say about all Vegas courses, they are definitely putting in the work and time to keep their courses up there.
Yeah.
I would love to have all those conditions in my backyard, but favorite holes. Let's get into that. So, Jack, let's start with you. Favorite hole out of Desert Pines.
Yeah, I can start. I'm actually gonna bring up 2 favorite holes, so a little bit different from what we've been talking about. First one kind of exemplifies what Chris was talking about. You have to hit some shots, but I loved how you can play such a short course in different ways. So number 4 was called the Narrows. It was a pretty short par 4 drivable green, but it's protected by bunkers on pretty much every fucking side of the green. So if you really wanted like a true shot at the green, like you pretty much have to hit it to probably around like 230, 240 in the fairway for you to have a decent lie. Ashton and I took 2 different routes to do that. I hit 3-wood draw over the water, probably to around the front of one of the right side bunkers, and then had a blind shot into the green. And I think Ashton, you took driver on that hole, if I remember correctly, to try to drive the green. Love that we were able to play that in different ways. And then my true favorite hole on that course, for the same reasons, really, like we were saying, pretty short course, but this one was playing about 450 from the tees that we were playing. It was number 9, called the double down. So you basically started off on this super narrow tee box surrounded by trees. I felt like I was driving the ball pretty well at that point, pretty much starting in the middle of the day before. So just hit my stock draw into the fairway, and then I still had like 190 something yards into the green. Elected to play very stupidly and hit a draw over the water, which worked out pretty well for me. So I love that about this specific hole, was that I like tight tee boxes like that, where you're forced to either hit shots that you don't normally hit, or play safer shot off the tee. So I really like those 2 holes off of the course. So sorry if that took away anybody's favorite hole, but those are my 2 favorites. Big Chris, what about yours? Let's go to you for this one.
So favorite hole for me would have been number 12. So number 12 would have been called Tunnel Vision. So what I love about it is actually the view that you get from the tee box. So when you're looking downfield, you've got the great bunkers along the green that have the railroad ties. Just again, one thing I love about Dye Designs is those railroad ties. It's just such a cool, added bonus for kind of just creating a different environment on the course. And you've got this kind of unnecessary bunker on the left-hand side. That's about, 200 yards out. That's just a little pop bunker on the left-hand side there. And then you've got this giant snaking bunker that runs along the left-hand side of the green. And this like really weird, unnecessary almost back pop bunker in the back right-hand side that if you do end up in there, you hit an absolute dog shit fucking shot. There's no way anybody is ever going to get in that bunker, but it's just a cool look because it's got it's pop bunker with the railroad ties that run along it. And then for me, my favorite part of the hole would definitely be the green because it has like 5 or 6 swells in the green that kind of really throw you for a loop. And if you haven't played the course multiple times, which again, this is our first time ever playing here, it will really, really deceive you. So you've got a false front that runs off to the left into the snake bunker. And then kind of the green comes up into a hill on the front right of the green, slopes back down into a swell into the middle, and then has a kind of a false back that runs off to the back left. And it's just any time that you have a creative green like that, something that's on a short par 4 that's going to challenge the person that's going to attack the green and really try to score low, it really intrigues me to come back and play holes like that over and over again because it's something that keeps you guessing. When pins are changed and placed in different areas, you're always going to be having a challenge every time you play a hole like that. So 12, definitely my favorite. Hussey, what was your favorite out there?
God damn it, Big C. Simpatico again. It's 12, Tunnel Vision. I can't elaborate any further, unfortunately. Other than, it's a good example of how they stretch the limits of this piece of property. I mean, the tee box is tucked behind like the fence for the driving range, and it's so narrow. I mean, it reminds me of, God, I won't say it. It reminds me of a very tight tee box, and the tightest tee box I've ever hit down.
Say it, Augusta. You're saying what?
No.
12 at Augusta?
No. Yes.
13
yes.
at Augusta.
Fine.
Yeah. Hell yeah, brother.
But, I really like that hole. But it was I mean, just like what you were saying earlier, Chris, there's like a random bunker like 30 yards past the green on top of this like hill that has no reason being a bunker. But there just is one because Dye Designs likes to put bunkers in random places for no reason. So, yeah, hole 12, Tunnel Vision.
I love it. Ashton, favorite hole?
I agree with y'all, but I'm going to go off the board to give some diversity here. I really liked number 7, Sidewinder. I also have a soft spot because for all you people like me who are close to 30 years old, I grew up playing Halo, and Sidewinder was the level where there was 2, you could put snipers in both there. It's the snow level back way for Halo. So I'm a huge dork, but yeah, love Sidewinder.
Hell yeah, brother.
So guys, I think the reason I like this one is because usually when I think par 5s, I think, obviously it's the length that's getting you. Or it's ones that there's sometimes we'll play a par 5, like maybe number 5 at Carica, where it's just short. This one is short. So from the back tees, 478, from the one up tees, 438, but it is a tight hole. There's bunkers right, there's bunkers left. Looking at the map from the back tees, the bunkers from the back tees are actually on the right are only 223 yards away. And then the bunker on the left is actually 266. So you can hit driver, but you don't have to, or probably shouldn't, unless you can just confidently fly it 260. Then again, the bunkers, there's further bunkers on the right side that are 309. So it kind of begs the question, like, where are you supposed to hit it? I think you're probably just supposed to hit it, 230, 240 out on the left side, and even kind of hitting in the rough, that's okay. But again, it's counterintuitive because usually on a par 5, you're not trying to hit a 230 club off the tee, but that's probably the right play. Then you're setting yourself up for an approach shot because there's a lot of there's a lot of water around the green, some bunkers to the left make it very challenging. And I actually made birdie here because I hit the wedge of my life, but the pin was basically located on a knob that was very, very challenging. So it's just a hole that I think some people who might knock it might say it's a little too target golf. But again, what y'all have said repeatedly, there's only so much space here. So I like the idea where it's probably, for me, a hybrid, a 6-iron, and then a good wedge. That's not how I want to play all my par 5s. But then, of course, like y'all mentioned, the green is near the water where there's kind of these 3 other greens right there. So you can kind of see other people playing. I just found it captivating. I agree with y'all that 12 is the best hole. A lot of the kind of Pete Dye slats, that bunker in the back is crazy. But I really enjoyed 7.
Yeah, and then I think 13 is another one that we just have to talk about just because of how ridiculous it was. So
the anti-lawyer.
Most definitely.
That's what it was. The anti-lawyer, who's for sure a lawyer.
13 is actually where we got our food to. So we go under this tunnel from 12, pop out, and then you're at the tee box for 13. When you pull up to the tee box, you look off to your right. And so the course is built right on the freeway. And you've got the freeway wall running along the left-hand side of 13. And then you have this fucking monstrosity of this freeway sign that is hanging over into the golf course side of, I don't know why this sign is backwards and not hanging over the actual freeway. And it's hanging over the fucking golf course. But it's hanging over the golf course, and there's a giant fucking lawyer sign basically saying, have you been injured? Like one of those scam ass lawyers that you fucking see on these fucking freeway signs. And instead of it just being a poster, it's literally like a cutout of the fucking lawyer and his hand sticking out the left-hand side.
No, he had a hammer, like a gavel, but like the gavel was like a sword.
It was the most ridiculous shit, but it basically, the cutout hung over the sign and in like even further into the golf course. So it was like you had to hit your drive low enough to not hit the fucking sign. And so Ashton tees off, we're good. Hussey tees off, we're good. Jack tees off, we're all right. I fucking tee off with this fucking horrible poofy shit that I've been working with this entire trip. And I swear to you, I missed this sign by less than a couple feet. I mean, it was so close to it. It was ridiculous. And then I ended up in this waste area on the left-hand side between the freeway wall and these like lines of trees. It was absolute shit show and disaster. But 13 was tight, super, super tight. And with that sign there, it made it even harder. It was ridiculous. I don't think I've ever come across that. I've come across power lines on golf courses. I've come across, a lot of obstructions, but I've never had a freeway sign that's 40 feet long hanging into your hitting zone for a tee shot. It was the weirdest fucking thing I've ever come across.
Well, and that goes back to Royal Links. I think one of the tough things is if you go on their website and look at the whole drawings, like even though we were all kind of a little worse for the wear, we were all super stoked. Look, we liked it. But like that hole, for example, obviously does not show the anti-lawyer with his tattooed arms, and his cutoff suit. But then I think there were probably 5 or 6 more like lawyer signs. Like one was a guy, he was half human, half bear with like this icy blue eye. So it's like you're playing golf on this like kind of, this lush golf course. And then there's you can just hear the cars like flying by. And then there's these like scam lawyers. It's
so Vegas.
Again, we enjoyed it. Just know that like you're going to see a lot of stuff that's not in the fucking drawings on the website.
And then number 9 was literally the tee box was so far pushed back into the back corner that we could have touched hands with whoever was standing on the corner to cross the street on the intersection of the road. Like it was so close. I've never played a hole that the city allowed them to build that close to the corner of a street. Like if someone got in an accident on that corner of the street, it would be on the tee box. Like it was that crazy. Like it was nuts how, and that's the thing though. We've been talking about the whole time. We've been talking about this course is the maximization of what they were able to do on this property. They used every inch that was absolutely possible to build this golf course. And it was really cool. Really, really fun. Is there any other holes you think that kind of popped out to you guys other than kind of what we talked about there? No. Yeah, I mean, those were kind of the main holes I think that everybody kind of fell in love with out there. The only other one I would probably say is I really think that 16, 17, 18 were great finishing holes. And I think almost on every Pete die that we played was 16 a par 3 on every die track.
No, the Wolf
yes
was
for Snow Mountain
par 3.
Yes for,
but all the other
did
ones.
Wolf go 4-4-5?
Yeah, Wolf was not back to back.
I don't recall how it ended.
But the point is, I guess you could say they're part of the closing chapter.
Yeah, Wolf
right?
was actually all par 4s finishing out. But
you're right. It was true. It was true at Desert Pines. It was true at Snow Mountain.
Yeah.
And was it true for Royal Links? I don't know. That's a bad example because it's not,
just really,
design.
really great finishing 16 hole or 16, 17, 18. I think that's one take that I think I took out of all the Pete die because I haven't played a lot of die tracks in my life. There's only a few in California that are accessible to the public that I've been able to play. And I think what I can take away from die design is finishing holes and bunkering. Both might be the most top notch in both of those aspects of any golf architect that I've come across and played their courses. I really think those are the two things that I can take away from die designs that he excels at over any other architect that I've played. Finishing 3 holes and just really incredible bunkering. Closing thoughts, fellas. It was an absolute incredible trip. If anything we could change, we will never stay at the cannery ever again in our lives. I felt like I smoked 17 packs of cigarettes while we walked through that hotel. I will also say the front counter woman was absolute dog shit when we checked in. She was so mean. I'm telling you, she was so mean to me and Ashton. Like, she absolutely did not want to be there. And it wasn't like she was busy. Like we were there was one dude that checked in right before us. She was not nice at all. Everybody was using smoking as an excuse not to wear masks in that casino. Like they had 3 rules. If you were eating, drinking, or smoking, you didn't have to wear masks. So everybody was chain smoking and walking around this fucking casino and just like nobody wearing masks, not even around their neck. They were just like, well, I got a cigarette in my hand. I don't have to fucking put a mask on. It was just batshit crazy. Thank God we all came out of that COVID free because that place was a fucking disaster.
Yeah, that was tough. I think the only thing for me, a couple learnings, we're getting better. We've said this before, but it's important to say it again. Just you need to budget for sleep. Like you want to jam as much golf as possible, but can't tell you how important it is to get 2 really good nights sleep. And then again, sort of my goals, like we talked about last week or 2 weeks ago for the goals pod. For me, like the whole less is more idea. I really think for our golf trips, it's 18 the first day, it's 18 the first day, 36 second day, 18, and that's it. 4 rounds. And that allows for plenty of sleep. It allows for that first day to kind of, to your point, sleep until 9:30, get some breakfast, feel really good, finish up, not be exhausted, and really kind of push it on day 2. I just think 5 rounds of golf is too much. So good night's sleep. And then I think if you turn it into a 18, 36, 18, it fixes itself. So that's my big takeaway for the future for us.
No, absolutely. I think we just need to budget our sleep. I think we're all at the age now where we're not working off of 4 hours as well as we did when we were in our 20s. So I think it's just taking a little bit of a break there and planning it a little bit better there. And I think when we do the cookout, I'm not going to try to cram in a bunch of golf before the tournament. I plan on trying to get down there either Wednesday night or Thursday morning so that I can play Rustic Canyon the day before the cookout. But other than 18 holes at Rustic, I'm going to stick to just playing the cookout.
Yeah. And
anything from you?
Yeah,
Jack?
I mean, thinking about it, like playing in the winter or doing a golf trip in the winter is kind of a double-edged sword because, you have less daylight, so you want to try and jam in as much as possible. But the upside is, your rounds always end at like 4:30 or something like that. So you're off the course by 5, you're probably eating dinner at 6, and you're in bed at like 7 or 8. Whereas in the summer, we're playing until 7, 8 o'clock at night. And then you're getting back to your hotel and trying to go to sleep at 11. So it's kind of like this weird thing where you can't jam too much golf in, but maybe if anything, the winter is the best time to do it, especially if you go to a place like Paiute where you're on property and you can play 36 on property, and then you're off the course at 5 and you can potentially get a good night's sleep as opposed to extending your daylight and minimizing the sleep. I don't know. I think it's definitely something to try again. Maybe when it's not 32 degrees at night, though.
Yeah, I mean, to your point though, Hussey, maybe the move is to make Vegas winter a recurring trip and do change up the 18s on both sides, but have Paiute be the 36 day because it's right there, right? And just say like, cool, we're going to play it in the off season. We're building the entire trip around Paiute. We're going to try different places around Vegas. Like that's not a bad idea because I mean, again, it sounds obvious to say, but Paiute's great because it's, you don't have to move the car. You don't have to adjust. I kind of like that idea.
I don't know. New Mexico is calling my name for another fall winter trip for us.
But it fucking snows. I'm interested. I just think it fucking snows there. It's like, let's go there when it's not going to snow.
No, if we catch it more in the fall, coming into winter, the October, November timeframe, I think that's a good time frame to get out to New Mexico. And I mean, Twin Warriors and a lot of the other courses out in New Mexico, I think are another thing. But for me, I definitely can take a long rest from desert golf. I'm pretty good off of desert golf after the Vegas trip. It's, if I can say anything, one takeaway I have from all the courses we played, desert golf is even though these were great condition courses, it is my least favorite type of golf by far. If I never played desert golf again, I think I would be content.
In similarly, I think, like vineyard golf is the same thing as desert golf, right? Because you go anywhere past the cart path, that's gone. You can't play it. So like Jack and I are going to play Chardonnay this weekend, and it's like, oh shit, here we go, desert golf all over again, just with some vines. So we can't escape it all, unfortunately.
That's kind of true. I guess anywhere that has like these crazy OBs right off the fairway aren't as fun as the big ballparks.
Yeah. 2 takeaways for me. Energy management, I think, is a big thing. So figuring out the best way to like get there, have energy to play that 18, reserve some of it for 36, and then have a fairly leisurely round out of the trip would be ideal. Getting rest is definitely ideal. Good food as well is a big thing. So shout out to you guys for, shout out to Alvin for It's Sushi and us all finding out that great Mexican restaurant for some pretty filling food. The other thing for me with golf trips just escaped my mind. So I guess I only have the 1 point. Tough scene for
Jack. Tough scene.
But no, always a great trip with you guys. Really good company. That's maybe one thing I'd add is, always have good company for your golf trips. Sorry, I remember it now. Call ahead to golf shops. I feel like that's a good theme of doing the golf trip. If anything, any of our listeners can learn from us is, call ahead and make sure that your reservations are good. Ask the pro shop how things are going, and maybe ask some locals if you have any connections to the area. Would be a big one.
Yeah. So I think that's it with our Vegas trip. It was an absolute pleasure, as always, to go on a trip with you guys. I literally cannot wait to see you guys again soon. Hopefully it's at the Battle of California at La Purísima. If not, we got the cookout coming end of April. So it's going to be great. I know I get to see Nick and Ashton here very soon in March. And of course, Jack and his wonderful girlfriend, Kim, are going to be coming up here in February. And I really can't wait to see both of you guys when you can make it up. And hopefully Hussey gets to make it up to the Pacific Northwest here soon. Since he's a wine connoisseur, I got to get him out to Newburgh and Dundee and do a little wine tasting out in the Oregon wine country.
Hell yeah, dude. It's Willamette, damn it.
Willamette, yes. Yeah. That's more down the Walla Walla side of things and in Tri-Cities and things like that. There's multiple areas here, Hussey. I'll bring you to some great places.
Right on.
All right, guys.
Hell
Take
yeah,
it
brother.
easy. And thanks for you guys. Thanks for Jack and Hussey coming on. We really always appreciate you guys joining us for any episode we get to have you guys on here.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Talk soon, boys.